Hello and good morning, or whenever you're watching this. Welcome to the latest in a series of Niwa author interviews. I'm interviewing the writers of the Northwest Independent Writers Association. And today we are joined by contemporary fiction writer Josh Amos, sorry. Let's see, your most recent book is Anti-Strigona, if I
Yes,
pronounced
sir.
that correctly. It's a short story which follows one of the side characters from your earlier novels.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about these novels and why Aunt Strigona?
So the background was I'm a veteran and I am not a veteran of any. I was in during the Gulf War and Somalia and stuff like that, but never went in theater. And subsequently, in my past life, I also worked for the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs and the Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs. And I saw there was a lot of great stories about people who have honorably served their country and just getting out and getting on with their lives. And all of the challenges come with just a basic service. So I started with the basic author question: what if this, then what, and so forth. So um, I really wanted to bring those stories to life and kind of encapsulate it in one character and in one family. Um, I'm also a big fan of the author Andrew Vox and his stories about family of choice and found family. So that's where I kind of started from. And honestly, I never thought I'd be a writer. I was a champion. I don't know how much I can say on your program. A champion storyteller, sea lawyer,
Okay.
expert in Blarney, and I had a friend of mine years ago was he's running an anthology. He's a nonfiction author, and he's writing an anthology of basic stories. And he called me one day. It was right in my last quarter of grad school, and I was just hired. I was working full time, going to school full time, and so forth. And Mark said, "I want you to tell me the story about this time that this thing happened in Phoenix." And for my book, I said, "Mark, I'm not a writer." He goes, "We are well aware of the fact that you're not a writer, but you're an awesome storyteller. So just write the story down." And that's kind of how it got started. Um, the anthology came out a while later, and I had some authors who I respected. And they all said, "Hey, you have a great way of looking at things and you have a great point of view. It's rough, but you should really consider playing with it." And so that's kind of where it started. A couple years later, things were kind of rough in my personal situation. So I always try to find something productive to do instead of sitting around moping. And so that's kind of where it started. And um, I wrote the first book, The Orphan, the Marine, and the Mastiff. Um, just I really I sat down and listened to YouTube videos from my favorite podcast from my favorite authors, and I'll throw Jim Butcher under the bus, the author of the Dresden Files, and if you look back at his videos from different cons in 2010, 12, 14s and stuff like that, this guy was giving away golden nuggets of information. So it just started going there. And really, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do the stuff that I did, and I did it anyway. The first book came out, I
Mhm.
rewrote it a bunch of times, and I made all the mistakes, and it's really I've been honored and pleasantly surprised at the people who say, some editors and people that I really look up to said the story came out as rough as it is. Everybody gets grace for their first story, and it's rough, but the story comes through, and it's really good. So in my ignorance, I thought, oh well, 30,000 words, that ought to be a lot to tell a story. And yeah, 160,000 words later, I'm like, I'm gonna have to break this into more one story here, and it just kind of went from there. Um, and then there is a group of authors and called the North Texas Troublemakers, and they're big friends of the Raconteur Press. And the Raconteur Press is really doing their part. It's like by authors for authors, and they turn out anthologies about 5 or 6 a year for just funky topics. Just have fun with it. And so I competed in their short story competition. and I didn't win, but the Auntie Strigona was a character from my first book. And the second, a little bit in the second one, she plays a bigger character, bigger place in the third book. And I thought, well, um, sorry, let me back up. The title of the topic of the Raconteur Press was Awesome Aunties. And they wanted
Oh,
to know, like, was your auntie, did she work in Area 51 back in the 50s? Was she a spy hunter? Was she a mastermind jewel thief or something like that? So I just took this character and asked this question, well, what would happen if blah, blah, blah? And so I kind of imagined like Helen Mirren in the movie Reds and what would happen if she had a beloved little brother and a niece that she needed to protect and what she would do. So,
oh. So you introduced some extra characters around her specifically.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
okay. In addition to her, so she is related to, um, I forgot the character's name, brother.
he's his brother, and you
He's
find out in the
she
next book
is.
his name is actually Keith.
Oh, okay.
Because one of
And that's the third book.
the premise, yeah, the premise for the first book was I wanted I wanted people to use their imagination as much as possible, and that's why I never tell you what their real names are, what their ethnicity is, where
Mm.
they live, and I try to leave as much as possible so people can see in their mind what they want to see. The only I always joke the only real character in the book is Boudica the Mastiff, and that was because I had an apricot English Mastiff, and she just unfortunately passed away last year after almost 13
Oh, I'm
years
sorry.
of love with us, and she was awesome, and I was like, I'm going to immortalize my dog because I'm an author and I can do that. So
Good choice. Yeah, perfect then. Well, great. So, okay. Let's see. So, brother's backstory. Can you tell me a little bit about him and his experiences? Because he also is a veteran.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, like how much of his backstory was informed by your own experience?
just some there's parts like yes I was a Marine, but the character brother
Mhm.
was a advanced infantry guy, reconnaissance Marine, MARSOC and stuff like that, and he was born to a teen mom, and his mom put him up for adoption, and he was adopted by a great foster family, and that was Auntie Stragona. That was Aunt Sophia was his big sister, and then unfortunately, it was an older couple. The mom passed away from cancer, and then her husband passed away soon after, basically out of a broken heart. And his mom uh, made sure he went to another great family, and so he had great experiences, and he just liked being a boy and outdoors, crash and burn, jump and climb this, bury that, lift this, dig that. That was his whole experience. And when he got in the service, he really found out he loved living the life, traveling, training, even his combat experiences were while terrible. He actually kind of grew kind of addicted to the action and being a leader. And he in the story he gets blown up by an IED, and he's flatlined in a hospital, and uh, I found out, working with veterans and stuff like that, that the modern medicine and the military medicine is phenomenal. There is some amazing work being done, but one of the things that they're still having trouble with is infections, American bodies, contaminants that you're not used to, American body not normal, and so he's in the hospital and he's having trouble running infections, so he spends a longer time than possible, and he he lost everything that was not only his identity but his ability. I guess it'd be like being an Olympic athlete 1 minute and then being absolutely disabled completely the next. And while he's in there, he gets a Red Cross message, and it turns out his mom, who had gone on to have a life of her own and have a little girl, she unfortunately passed away, and nobody was adopting the child, and she was kind of languishing in foster care. So, uh, one of the brothers' mentors in the hospital was a really great chaplain, and the chaplain said, "Are you man enough to take on this new challenge?" And one of his struggles is like, I don't know anything about little kids, and so the chaplain mentors him and helps him get like volunteer time at the hospital daycare center, so he's not afraid of kids. And anyway, so he gets himself healed up enough to get his discharge, and when he comes home, he kind of imagines in his mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to be like the superhero, and this little kid's going to be my sidekick, and we're going to go have great adventures. And unfortunately, when they meet, he this baby sister of his, Mei Mei is her nickname, is just a shell shocked orphan. She had a terrible time in foster care, and he is like, I have to change my whole outlook on everything. So it's not just I've got a sidekick who's going to feed my ego and let we're going to do a glorious thing. It's like this child needs me even more, and I write each character from their point of view. And so on the flip side, Mei Mei is the little girl. Mei Mei is Chinese for baby sister, and so
Right.
she's bounced from foster care, and they weren't all very good. And one day, this caseworker said, "You're going to go live with a brother." She's a brother. What's a brother? I mean, they're little guys, and in walks this giant scarred guy. And she's like, "Oh no, 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 no! I can't do this." And it just starts off. I mean, in the first scene, she's so upset about going home with him. She actually throws up on him in the car, and he has to pull off to the side of the road. And so I was a single dad myself, and I know the struggles of it's not going to be an automatic bond with a little child. They're their own person. They see things their own way. And and I also know the struggles from being the point of view of the dad of like, how can I help this kid? Why can't I do the right thing ever once? Why am I always just, and it's that kind of struggle bouncing forth. And it's, do they bond? Can they get together? But the brothers kind of ace in the hole was he has a mastiff puppy, and the little girl is like, that's my pal. And which is, in my opinion, kids need dogs. So
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that sounds fascinating. Then that's really interesting. And you said you're working on a third book now in the series
yeah, I got
with the same two characters.
the third book in the series. And so the first question, I asked myself was, when two odd characters meet, can they form a bond enough in a family to build their own family of choice to move on and grow together? Or will he end up losing her back to a foster family or something? Because there's a lot of family courts involved and people looking over his shoulder and stuff like that. And then I added, I'm going to steal this line from Jim Butcher. I don't torture my characters. I torture you, my readers, through my characters. And so I asked the next question. Well, what if like when Mei Mei's mom and dad pass away, there's a small inheritance, and brother doesn't care. He's got a disability. He's got his own savings. He's his own guy, but her distant family members who are not the most reputable people. We've all seen these kind of people, and they're all like,
Mm.
well, if we get the kid, we get the inheritance, and plus we get extra money from the state, and we get all this stuff. So they're seeing her as a bounty to be harvested. And he's like, I'm not letting her be taken back by these trailer park, da 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 da. And but he has to do extra because of all the family court legal battles and stuff. He's got to be extra good, and he's under
Mm.
a magnifying glass even more. So
Wow. So lots of great tension there. Then sounds
yeah,
like for
yeah,
this new one. Yeah. So in other topic, you're a member of
sure,
the Northwest Independent Writers Association,
I
NIWA.
am. Yeah,
How long have you been a member? And can you tell us about what resources you found or used through them, or
I
how that's helped you?
I joined. I just found out about you guys last year, and so I joined, and I went to the conference in September, and the one that Margaret Atwood was a keynote speaker at, and then um, subsequently I kind of would not withdrawn, but like I have to stay focused on my own work. I don't want to get caught up in other people's, like the machinations of the thing. And I say that with nothing but respect for volunteers. I admire doers, people that get out there and put themselves on the line to help. And I think I can help those people best by not being a burden. Um, but I watched it. I watched the uh, uh, when they offer like a class. I've taken a couple of classes like on tech writing, writing for technology and stuff. I have outlined for another story that I'm planning ahead on, and um, the speakers were great, really helpful and stuff like that. And I can kind of keep an eye on. It's kind of like going to the grocery store. It's like, oh, I really like that, but no, that's not good for my calorie count. Or oh, that okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to sit in on that class and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Um, so yeah, where can people find you then? Do you have a website or social
Yeah,
media and any upcoming events?
jmamus.com. I got a small website, and it's mostly fed through like some Facebook posts and stuff like that. I'm trying to build a body of work first before I start tooting my own horn. Um, but that's the process, and I never knew that being an author was some form of mental illness. It's like, I can't stop writing. I have to write this down. Or I'm in my day job doing this and that other thing, or I'm at the grocery store. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I really should have said this better. So go home, go back to that chapter that I wrote, add this little bit, smooth everything out, you know. So that's one of the great things about this community is like, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but I'm with other crazy people who
That's right.
understand.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much. And we'll have those links in the video description here on the once the stuff on YouTube.
Thank you.
And thank you much for joining us. And is there anything else you'd like to add at the end here?
No, I appreciate that. And, you know, if anybody listening to this is an author or a storyteller, um, you know, there's a surprising podcast that really helped me out. It was Joe Rogan was interviewing Robert Rodriguez. And I thought, okay, here's a couple of bro guys going to talk about the 90s and all this kind of stuff like that. Instead, Robert Rodriguez had some, they both had, actually both had brilliant information. And one of them, Robert Rodriguez, was talking about well, you know, when he was offered the movie From Dusk Till Dawn, he's like, I don't do horror movies. I do this. I do Mexican revenge stories. And well, why not take the shot? And what they both said was, you may doubt yourself, but your readers don't know you and they don't know to doubt you. So give them the benefit of the doubt. Build the body of work. Joe Rogan was a comedian, and what he said was he was always kind of sad because there'd be like there'd be an after hours party and there'd be a guy who would be telling such funny stories that just have you rolling and laughing and crying, and but they never thought their work was good enough to get up on stage and say. And Robert Rodriguez was saying the same thing. It was like, try the thing, write the words down, submit it anonymously to a readers group, commit to a body of work, one, two, three, four books, or one, two, three, four stories, and then make your decision. Um, because you grow so much and you learn so much, and yeah, you have all the imposter syndrome and the little guy on your shoulder saying, "Oh, you're crazy. Nobody's going to like this," and just flick them off your shoulder and keep going. So
Thank you very much.
you bet. Appreciate you, Pat. You guys take care out there.
You too.
Have a good day.